The Denver Post released another round of endorsements this week, including urging Denver voters to reject the 4 tax increases on the Denver city and county ballot. We happen to have the editorial page editor of the Denver Post available to us in the panel. We don't always get that honor, but Megan, that made, I'll just talk about it personally, that was a pretty bold statement of all 4 tax increases. Tell us a little bit about why the editorial board decided to make such a move.
So these proposed tax increases are going a little bit of a step further than just your general, let's increase revenue for the city's budget, right? These are set-asides for specific projects, which I think it would be a concerning trend to allow groups to say, we want our own dedicated revenue stream. We're going to ask voters for it. You know, the closest one is the parks. City Council did put their stamp of approval on that and said, yes, we need additional funding for parks. And the city is flush with cash. It's good economic times, but I just think these are all a bad precedent for the city.
Patty, seeing tax increase on the ballot for Denver is not a surprise, but I think seeing Denver Post come out against all 4, I know I was surprised. What was your reaction?
Brave. And I thought this is a really interesting move, especially after endorsing some of the people you've endorsed too. But I have to say, the parks one didn't seem like a big call to me, because didn't we just vote some more money from parks? It was part of a bigger bond issue. But Denver residents have been very generous about voting for tax increases. I disagree a little bit on a few of these, but I think this is a lot of money that the city is asking for from voters when the city is flush, but sometime the city is not going to be flush. When people who are living here are increasingly squished by property taxes, especially small business owners. And this is a lot of money going to kind of boutique earmarked taxes when, in fact, if we want to increase the general fund because there are things we need, do that. But separating them all out seems definitely a step or two too far.
David, sometimes the criticism for governments is that you're not specific enough with your tax increase request. And sometimes it's, well, this is a little too, I'm not in favor of this particular issue. But is Denver going to the well one too many times with these?
Mayor Hancock is, because I think there's a broader loss of confidence in him at this time when the city has record-setting revenues and yet seems to be often so deficient at funding the basics of government. And I'd say most of the things on that thing are things that are part of the basics of government anyway, including parks. And he's asking for a tax increase for parks at the time they've acquired the Park Hill golf course with plans to sell it to a developer. You know, if you're going to ruin what could be one of the best parks in the city, then go spend the money on buying more parks yourself instead of asking for even more taxes after you're destroying the park system. Mental health is something that is a core thing government should be funding as part of the safety net. I would still vote for it if I were a Denver resident because it's so important. I wish the city of Denver were responsible enough to use its own original revenue, but something has to be done on that one.
Eric, what do you think? We've been watching a lot of Denver Post endorsements over the years coming out against the 4. What was your reaction?
Couple thoughts. If any of these were on the ballot by themselves, I would probably be inclined to support them. I think the issue here is the totality of them. It's not the individual particulars or even the merits of most of them. It's the need for triage. It's the need for priority setting by leaders, and I think that's what people are pointing a finger. And yes, 3 of them were initiated. Only 1 came on by City Council. But Michael Hancock still has the power of the bully pulpit. He still has the power of calling people in and saying, not this year, maybe next year. There was just no sense of triage here. To Megan's credit, she is the latest in a long line of distinguished editorial page editors in the Post. For the most part, there have been exceptions, but for the most part, the Post has tended to endorse tax increases. There haven't been a whole lot of tax increases proposed that the Denver Post hasn't liked over the years, a few. For them to come out and say no on all 4 of these, I think was a strong, brave, as somebody else used that word, it was a strong and brave statement.